very, very warm welcome back to the joy of architecture.
Great to be here.
So today we're navigating a landscape that's, well, it's become not just complex, but honestly genuinely overwhelming for a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely.
We're talking about professional certifications for software architects. I mean, the architect's role itself has just exploded, right?
Yeah.
Way beyond just, the technical skills now.
Yeah, it's about leading digital transformation, really linking business strategy directly with the tech. It's a huge shift.
It really is. So let's try and unpack this a bit for anyone out there looking to build really robust, scalable solutions in today's world.
It's definitely a bit of a jungle out there with these certifications. And what's fascinating, I think, is just how fragmented it all is.
Right.
So our mission today really is to grab a metaphorical machete, maybe, cut through some of that undergrowth, and give you, our listener, a clear, data-backed map. We've pulled this from a whole stack of really insightful sources. We want to help you make, strategic choices about certifications, hopefully save you some significant time, effort, and maybe even some money along the way.
That sounds like a very worthwhile mission. And here's where I think it gets really interesting. We're seeing this primary split, aren't we? Between the vendor neutral certs, the ones focusing on broad frameworks, and then the vendor specific ones drilling down into, AWS, Azure, GCP, those platforms.
Yeah, what's the platform players?
But that's not even the whole story now, is it? There's this emerging frontier too, with specialized areas like, zero trust security becoming absolutely critical.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So it's not just about what you know anymore, but how effectively you can prove you can actually apply it in this tech world that just changes so fast.
And to make sense of all that, if we, connect this to the bigger picture, it's really crucial first to understand the different hats an architect might wear. Our sources, they pretty consistently identify 3 distinct archetypes. And these kind of serve as our compass for figuring out where each certification really fits in.
So understanding your role, or maybe the role you want, that clarifies which certs actually matter for you. Is that the idea?
Exactly. So first up, we've got the enterprise architect, the EA. This role operates at the highest strategic level.
Okay, the 30,000-foot view.
Pretty much. Their concern isn't just one project, it's the whole picture. The holistic, long-term alignment of the organization's business strategy with its entire technology portfolio.
Well, okay.
They're defining business capabilities, setting up governance standards, creating those big architectural roadmaps. Think of them as like the visionaries, making sure tech directly helps the overall business goals. And certs like TOGAF, well, they're explicitly designed for that kind of grandmaster plan.
So much less about the nuts and bolts of one specific system and more about that entire organizational blueprint.
Precisely. Then next, there's the solution architect, or SA.
Yeah.
Now, this is more of a bridge role. They translate that high-level enterprise strategy into, concrete technical implementation.
Getting more hands-on.
A bit more, yeah. A solution architect designs these comprehensive end-to-end solutions for specific business problems. They're selecting the right technologies, defining the solution's overall structure, making sure the design is, feasible, secure, scalable.
Right.
This is really where you see those big cloud provider certifications, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, really shining because they focus on building solutions using that specific vendor's platform.
So they're the ones taking the big EA vision and actually making it real, system by system, living in that practical design space.
You got it. And finally, we have the technical architect, or TA. Now, this role, this person has deep, deep expertise in a specific technology domain. Could be networking, data, maybe a particular programming stack, something like that.
The specialist.
The specialist, exactly. The TA is focused on the how of implementation, making critical decisions about tech stacks, defining coding standards, and crucially, ensuring those non-functional requirements.
The NFRs. Performance, security.
Exactly. Performance, security, scalability, making sure those are met. They often provide that real hands-on guidance to the dev teams. And certs that validate those deep hands-on skills, like from SEI, ISA, QB, or the Kubernetes ones, they're highly relevant here.
Okay, so understanding these distinct roles, EA, SA, TA, that's step 1. But how does this translate into, your personal strategy? Because let's be honest, while these roles are distinct on paper, the reality is the boundaries are getting really blurry, aren't they? We're seeing this rise of the, quote, full stack architect, someone who's kind of expected to wear multiple hats.
That's definitely a trend.
A solution architect now probably needs to understand container orchestration, which maybe used to be more TA territory.
Right.
But they also need to think about cost governance, which kind of touches on the EA side.
Absolutely.
So it means versatility is just key, right?
Yeah.
And your certification strategy probably needs to reflect that, maybe combining credentials to show both that broad understanding and some deep specific expertise.
Absolutely. It's all about building that T-shaped skill set people talk about, broad and deep.
Right. So, to help you make these kinds of strategic choices, we've distilled a mountain of information, really, into what we're calling the Global Architect Certification Matrix.
Sounds impressive.
Huh. Well, think of it more like a detailed, comprehensive cheat sheet, specifically for you, the listener. Now, obviously, we can't read out every single data point for like over 20 certifications right now.
Yeah, that would take a while.
It would, but we'll highlight the trends, the must-knows, and you can find the full detailed matrix with all the exact costs, prep times, popularity ratings, everything. It'll be available for you in our show notes.
Okay, that's useful. And just to get the most out of that matrix when we check it out, let's quickly run through the legend we used.
Good idea.
So for architect role alignment, you'll see symbols. A solid circle means primary alignment. The CERT's core curriculum is directly focused on that role, EA, SA, or TA. An open circle means secondary alignment. So it provides valuable skills, but it's not the main focus. And just a dash means, well, it's not really a significant focus for that role.
Got it. Primary, secondary, or not really relevant.
Exactly. Then popularity, that's rated 1 to 5 stars. It's kind of a composite score reflecting market demand, job postings, maybe salary impact, global recognition.
Makes sense.
Cost is a USD range typical cost for the exam, plus any mandatory training, because sometimes that's required. Difficulty level is more qualitative low, medium high, sometimes very high, based on rigor, prerequisites, breadth of knowledge needed.
Okay.
And finally, prep time just gives you a typical indication of how long people usually take to prepare in weeks or months.
Perfect. Okay, so with those architect hats, EA, SA, TA, firmly in mind, let's dive into the certifications themselves, maybe starting with those that teach you sort of how to think about architecture, the framework and methodology certification.
Sounds good. And for enterprise architects, the big one, the most foundational, is definitely TOGAF 910 certified from the Open Group.
Right, TOGAF, you hear that one a lot.
You do. It's a 5-star popularity cert, medium difficulty generally. TOGAF isn't just a standard. For many big companies, it's the corporate passport for enterprise architecture.
Okay.
What's interesting, and maybe a bit frustrating for some, is its Part 2 exam. It's open book.
Oh, really? That sounds easy then.
Huh? Not necessarily. It's less about memorizing the framework, which is huge, and more about proving you can strategically apply it to complex scenarios. That's why it kind of polarizes opinion sometimes. It's bedrock for traditional enterprises, but maybe seen as a bit rigid for, today's super agile world.
Interesting. And often paired with TOGAF is Archimate 3 practitioner, right?
Yeah, that's another one from the Open Group. Archimade's about 3 stars, also medium difficulty. It's essentially the modeling language for enterprise architecture. It gives you a standard way to draw those diagrams, to visualize relationships across business, application, technology layers.
So TOGAF is the process. Archimate is the language for drawing it.
Kind of, yeah. Think of Archimate as the language you speak when you're building those big EA diagrams using the TOGAF process.
Okay. Now, what about agile environments, especially big ones? Safe Architect, ARCH comes up there.
Right. Safe Architect. That's a 4-star cert, medium difficulty. This one squarely positions the architect role within the scaled agile framework. Safe. It's focused on enabling that continuous flow of value in agile delivery.
So less about how to be an architect in general, more how to be one in a safe organization.
Exactly. It assumes you're operating within that specific framework.
Yeah.
And it usually requires a mandatory 3-day course.
Right. Okay, shifting gears a bit. More engineering-focused frameworks like ISE-QB, CPSA Foundation, CPSAF.
Yeah, ISA-QB. This is primarily aimed at technical architects, maybe solution architects secondarily. The foundation level CPSAF is about 3 stars, pretty low difficulty, relatively inexpensive. It's especially recognized in Europe, providing a solid vendor-neutral engineering-focused base.
Okay, good starting point maybe?
Could be. But its big brother, CPSA Advanced, is a completely different beast. Only 2 stars for popularity, maybe because it's extremely difficult. We're talking very high difficulty, a massive investment in time and money, like $9,000 plus and 18 months of prep. It's modular, requires multiple deep dive courses, and really validates expert-level technical skill over years. It's a serious commitment.
Wow, okay. That's intense. And then there's the academic gold standard people mentioned from Carnegie Mellon, the SEI Software Architecture Professional Certificate.
Right, the SEI Cert. Again, primarily for TAs, maybe S, only 2 stars popularity, but high difficulty.
Yeah.
It's renowned for its academic rigor, its focus on quality attributes, performance, modifiability, security, and specific analysis methods like ATAM, the architecture trade-off analysis method. It's rooted in decades of research.
So if you really want to get into the theory and methods of evaluating architecture based on quality.
This is it. It's less about a specific framework, more about the principles and analytical techniques.
Gotcha. Okay, so that covers a lot of the framework side. Let's talk about the absolute powerhouses now, the cloud and platform specific certifications. This seems to be where a huge amount of market demand is right now.
Oh, undeniably. Yeah. For cloud, you'll see a very clear pattern in the matrix. The big 3 dominate. AWS Certified Solutions Architect Professional, Azure Solutions Architect Expert, and Google Professional Cloud Architect.
The big cloud players.
Exactly. They're all top tier in popularity, 5 stars for AWS and Azure, 4 for Google. They're all high difficulty, requiring months of pretty deep preparation.
So choosing between them is key.
Well, yes, choosing which platform aligns with your work or goals is crucial. But the real insight here isn't just which one, but understanding that mastering any of them means you're committing to a continuous learning journey. These platforms evolve incredibly fast.
Right, that raises that important point. You sometimes hear about these cloud certs, their, finite lifespan and the, what do they call it, the recertification treadmill.
Yeah, the recertification treadmill. It sounds daunting, but honestly, think of it this way. It's kind of the industry's built-in mechanism to stop you becoming obsolete.
Huh. Okay, that's a positive spin.
Well, it's a field that basically reinvents itself every 6 months, right? So it's a challenge, definitely, but it's also a guarantee of your ongoing relevance, in a way. The exams reflect this, too. The AWS Pro exam, for example. It's notorious for these long, ambiguous scenario questions that really test deep, nuanced judgment, not just rote memorization.
Right.
Azure's Expert Cert actually requires you pass their AZ-104 Admin Associate Cert first, so it really emphasizes having that hands-on foundation.
Ah, okay, a prerequisite.
And Google Cloud's Professional Architect is known for its case study-based approach, often with a really strong focus on data, AML, and Kubernetes within the GCP ecosystem.
That's a critical distinction between them. Okay, now for the really deep technical hands-on skills, we have the technical and implementation-focused certifications.
Right. And when you're talking cloud-native technologies, the absolute gold standard right now is the Certified Kubernetes Administrator, CKA. That's in the Linux Foundation and the CNCF.
Kubernetes, yeah. Everywhere now.
Everywhere. CKA is about 4 stars, popularity, high difficulty. But what truly sets CKA and its sibling cert, the CK, Certified Kubernetes Application Developer, apart is how you take the exam.
How so?
They are hands-on, performance-based lab exams, not multiple choice.
Wow, okay.
This proves genuine, practical keyboard-to-shell skill. For CKA, you're administering a cluster. For CKA, you're deploying and managing applications on a cluster. You literally have to configure things, troubleshoot things live.
That's certainly not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
But I imagine incredibly valuable proof of skill.
Hugely valuable. It shows you can actually do it.
Okay. Finally, let's touch on some of those emerging frontiers. You mentioned specialized architectural credentials, specifically Zero Trust security.
Yeah, Zero Trust. This is a really critical emerging imperative. It's fundamentally shifting how we think about security.
How does it shift things?
Well, it moves away from the old idea of a secure perimeter like a castle wall. Instead, it operates on the principle of never trust, always verify for every single access request, no matter where it's coming from.
Okay, so trust no one by default.
Essentially, yes. And this is inherently an architectural shift. It requires really careful system design based on principles like least privilege access, strong identity verification, microsegmentation. It's really about baking security into the architecture right from the start, not bolting it on later.
And is there a leading vendor-neutral cert for this yet?
The one gaining the most traction seems to be the CSA Certificate of Competence in Zero Trust, CCZT. That's from the Cloud Security Alliance.
Okay.
It's rated about 3 stars, popularity, medium difficulty. It's based on established guidelines from NIST and CISA. Interestingly, it's an open book exam.
Ah, like TOGAF Part 2.
Exactly, but people say it's still quite challenging. Requires a deep understanding of the principles and how to apply them. There are also other offerings popping up, like from ISE focusing more on strategy. And Forrester has one based on their ZTX framework, though that's often part of a more expensive cohort course.
So the takeaway is security is absolutely shifting left, as they say. It's becoming core to the architect's job now.
Totally. Architects must be security-conscious architects now, maybe even security architects in a sense.
Right. So, okay, we've mapped out this huge landscape frameworks, cloud platforms, technical skills, even emerging stuff like zero trust. The real question now for you, the listener, is how do you strategically combine these? It's probably not just about getting one certification right. It's how you build, what do we call it, certification stacking.
Yeah, certification stacking, creating that
Hmm.
T-shaped skill set. We talked about having broad knowledge across areas, but also deep expertise in one or two key ones.
And this strategy, it directly addresses those blurring lines between the EA, SA, and TA roles we discussed earlier.
Exactly. So maybe we can outline some recommended pathways or stacks based on different career goals people might have.
Yeah, let's do that. First, maybe for the aspiring enterprise strategist, someone aiming for that EA role.
Okay, for you, the core path we'd suggest is starting with TOGA 910 certified. That's your foundation in EA process. Then layer on the Certified Business Architect, CBA.
Ah, the CBA from the Business Architecture Guild, based on the Buysbout Guide.
That's the one. It adds formal business domain expertise, capability mapping, value streams, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then an optional but often valuable addition, especially in larger orgs, is the Safe Architect, ARC.
Okay.
So that combination, 2GA, CBA, maybe Safe Architect, gives you a strong EA process foundation, deep business understanding, and connects it to agile delivery. You'll be able to speak the language of both business and IT strategy and execution.
That makes sense. Okay. Next up, probably a very popular goal, the Cloud Native Solution Builder.
Right. This is arguably the highest demand, highest reward path currently. For you, the core journey looks like starting with an AWS, Azure, or GCP Architect Associate level cert.
Get the fundamentals on your chosen platform.
Exactly. Then progress to the professional level certification on that same platform. That demonstrates elite skill. And then crucially, add the Certified Kubernetes Administrator, CKA.
Ah, bringing in the Kubernetes piece.
Yes, that Stack Cloud Associate back Cloud Pro back CKA proves you have mastery from the application layer design right down to the container infrastructure it runs on. It's a very powerful combination that hiring managers are actively looking for.
I can see why. Okay, what about the hands-on technical lead? Someone who really thrives on deep technical expertise and leading implementation.
For that profile, the core path could start with either the ISAQB CPSAF for that vendor-neutral engineering foundation, or the SEI Software Architecture Professional Certificate for the deep analytical rigor.
Choose your foundational flavor, basically.
Kind of, yeah. Then follow that with the Certified Kubernetes Administrator, CKA, because cloud native is so central.
CKA seems to pop up everywhere.
It's just that important right now for practical implementation. And then an optional but good addition here might be a cloud platform developer or specialty certification, something like AWS Certified Developer or maybe Azure DevOps Engineer.
Okay.
So this path prioritizes engineering excellence, a principled architectural foundation, and those practical cloud-native skills. It basically says, I not only know how to design it, I know how to build it right.
Makes sense. And finally, you mentioned a crucial specialization that can kind of be snacked onto any of these pathways, the security-conscious modern architect.
Yes, this isn't really a standalone path, more like an essential overlay. The recommendation is take any core pathway you choose, whether you're leaning enterprise, cloud, or technical, and layer on the CSA Certificate of Competence and Zero Trust, CCCTT.
Add that zero trust piece on top.
Exactly, because security is just inseparable from architecture today. Adding CCZT gives you that critical future-proof skill in designing secure by default systems. It makes you exceptionally valuable in today's, frankly, scary threat landscape. Security just isn't an afterthought anymore. It has to be designed in. You know, this really raises that important question. What path will you, the listener, choose? Because the final verdict here, I think, is that certification is a strategic investment. It's part of a continuous professional journey. It's definitely not a destination you just arrive at.
Right.
The true value isn't just the piece of paper or the badge on your LinkedIn, is it? It's the knowledge you gain, the skills you validate, and hopefully the opportunities they get created because you went on that learning journey.
That really is the core message, isn't it? The most successful architects we see, they view certifications as a strategic tool, something they use deliberately to shape their careers. So we've tried to give you the map, maybe the compass. Now it's really your turn to choose your path. And crucially, keep learning because this field just never, ever stops evolving.
Never does.
So maybe a final thought for you to mull over. How will your chosen certifications, or the ones you decide to pursue, not just validate what you already know, but how will they truly transform the way you approach architectural challenges in this world that just keeps changing?
Good question to ponder.
We really hope this deep dive into the sometimes confusing world of professional certifications for software architects has been valuable for you.
Hope it helps cut through some of the noise.
To stay informed on future explorations into the world of technology, architecture, and beyond, please be sure to subscribe to The Joy of Architecture. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, everyone.